Hello and welcome. My name is Sabrina Rising. I'm a spiritual mentor, an intuitive guide, and a psychic medium. And today we're going to talk about the energetics of money, simply money. And this is such a charged topic for so many of us. It has been for myself included over the course of my life and my career. And I think it's really important to just talk about money. Of course, everything that I share comes from an energetic perspective, a spiritual perspective. So keep that in mind as you're listening to this video. It's for those of you that are looking to manifest financial abundance or to have more or to come out of pain and suffering around money. We really want to start to look at our relationship to money as a separate thing. Okay, so part of the healing process when it comes to the energetics of money is learning to identify some of our limiting beliefs around it. So this takes self-awareness. Self-awareness invites us to examine, what do I really believe about money? Is it hard to come by? Is it, is it difficult for me? Is it something that I need to work really hard for? Is it not possible for me? Is it something that I'm just stuck with? Does it feel like there's a lot of resignation or burden energy around it? You want to look at your beliefs around money and the feelings that those beliefs create in your body. Every belief that we have about anything. Today, we're specifically talking about money, but any belief that we have will create an emotional experience. It will create a series of feelings that get triggered every time you think about it, every time the belief crosses your mind, or every time you hear yourself repeating it out loud, or saying it in a conversation, or saying it to yourself. It will trigger these feelings. And these feelings, the emotions, are what create the energy that amplifies whatever it is that we're attracting into our lives. Okay, so just like anything else, we want to be able to heal our money wounds, just like we want to be able to heal our past trauma around relationships, around our parents, around, whatever it is that we may have gone through in our lives. Money is no different. Money in and of itself is a neutral energy. Think of it as a clear glass of water, right? And if you put toxic beliefs and toxic chemicals and toxic substances in this water, it becomes undrinkable, right? And because it's going to make you sick. And if you put positivity and positive thinking and, things that are nutritious and good for your well-being, then the water makes you feel well, right? So it's the same with money. It's a neutral energy that we impose our own values and beliefs onto and our own past experiences onto. And then it becomes this sort of love-hate relationship that we have with money. We really, really want it, but we don't believe we can have it, or we struggle for it, or perhaps you make money and easy come, easy go. This, as soon as it comes into your life, it goes right out the window. These are all ways in which we might be experiencing or struggling or suffering with money. That's really a reflection of our own internal landscape. All of the circumstances in our lives, whether it's relationship, health, family, abundance or lack of abundance, everything is a mirror of our own internal belief system. If you're feeling chaotic and irresponsible and impulsive with your spending, if you have a lot of resistance, a lot of fear around money internally, that's going to be reflected into your financial circumstances, whatever they are. Okay. So anybody, regardless of your upbringing, regardless of your resources, regardless of your education, regardless of your success or lack of success in the world, is entitled and inherently abundant. Okay, so we're all entitled to experiencing this feeling of being provided for and safe and abundant in our own lives. Okay, this is oftentimes, and I've been through this process myself, we entangle our self-worth with how much we're making or how much we didn't make or how successful we are or not successful, we are. And so it's very important as we come into healing our relationship to money to, first of all, just trust that this might be a bit of a painful process to become aware of your beliefs and become aware of some of the feelings that these beliefs create in your body, but that it's really important to take responsibility for this relationship in your life. If this is a relationship you want to heal, right? If this is something that you want to have a harmonious, flowful, abundant interaction with, then we have to take a good look at it. We have to be able to clean this up, clean up this neutral energy and remove all these projections so that we can start to get comfortable with this energy of money and make peace with it. Okay. So just like any other trauma in our lives or any other painful experience in our lives. Okay. So we want to first take a look at some of the conditioning. What are the beliefs that you inherited from your caregivers, from your early childhood environment, your extended family, or the society around you? What was the experience of money? Okay. So this experience is recorded in your cellular memory, just like all your other experiences. And so we have to really take a look at this and isolate the energetics of money and look at, okay, this is what it was like for me. And regardless of what it was like, whether it was, good or bad or whatever judgments you're putting on it, it doesn't matter, because anybody can heal from any situation at any point in time. It just takes some awareness and a willingness to take responsibility, and also the courage to sit with your uncomfortable emotions and believe that you can change your script around money. Okay, so the belief system, as I mentioned in so many other videos, is responsible for influences every cell in our body. Okay, so the belief system influences every cell, and those cells will attract the circumstances in your life. Okay, so this takes some awareness and vigilance, especially in the early stages of healing, to look at that relationship with money. So what are some of those beliefs? So you can take a moment and pause this video, take a piece of paper and pen, and write down some of the beliefs you have about money specifically. Right? Am I worthy of it? Am I unworthy of it? Is it a good thing, a bad thing? Is it the root of all evil? Is it difficult to come by? Is it something I have to struggle for? Notice even when I mention money, like when I'm talking to you directly about money, what happens in your body? Do you feel uncomfortable? Do you feel a tightness or a contraction in your body? Right? So this tells me a lot about your relationship to it. Is it something that you're uncomfortable talking about? Right? Is it a subject that you avoid? Think about how money shows up in your relationships, perhaps with your significant other or with your child or with your parent. Is there some tension and some scarcity around money? Okay. So this experience of scarcity really is a deep rooted wound that so many of us have, even if you grew up in an environment of abundance, because we were all raised in conditional environments. Even if there was a lot of abundance, you may have had to earn it, or you may have had to, maybe it was held over your head, or there was a lot of guilt about the money that you received or the abundance that was available to you. And so you want to look at this feeling of scarcity and tightness and discomfort around money, and go back as far as you can into your childhood and assess what the conversations were, what the relationship was, what are some of the pains that you experienced around money, having it, not having it. Both extremes can be equally as painful. It can be just as isolating to be the rich kid on the block as it can be to be the child who didn't have, the right clothes or the right means, or, what everybody else was enjoying. Okay. So really look at your experience around money and make note of that so that we can come into awareness. Honest self-reflection will bring up so many events that you probably blocked out of your mind, or, haven't thought about for many, many years. Just even doing this process of journaling these beliefs will bring up a lot of the long-held values you've had around money, so that we can take a good, honest look at them and shift them for good. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, these beliefs will create a lot of uncomfortable emotions in your body. Okay. So we want to be able to sit with those feelings. And just to distill this down for you and keep it very simple, all of our reactions, it can be fear, it can be anger, it can be sadness, it can be stress, it can be anxiety, it can be, avoidance, whatever comes up for you in your body. And when we talk about money specifically, the core emotion is always fear. Right? This is either the fear of not having it, or the fear of running out, or the fear that will be taken away from you, or the fear that something bad will happen. Okay. Usually this is what creates restrictive resistance around any relationship. And obviously today we're talking specifically about money. Okay. But the same is true for love, for health, for relationships, whatever it is you're trying to manifest more of in your life. Okay. So we want to come to this relationship to money clear of any uncomfortable emotions, any resistances. Your resistance to money, if you look at your relationship to it, perhaps you're someone who grips it or holds on to it or hoards it, or you're afraid to spend it even when you have it, right? Or perhaps you feel a lot of tension in your body when there's opportunities that are going to require you to spend some of your money. or perhaps there's always a fear that things cost money, or there's a fear that that your money isn't safe. Okay, so again, these are all projections. We are projecting our own unresolved feelings, our own unmet needs that are generally rooted in childhood experiences onto this energy of money, which, as I mentioned at the beginning, is neutral. Okay, so if we deal with our unresolved emotions and we practice those feelings of safety, trust, abundance, that feeling of being provided for, that you're being held and supported. If we practice cultivating those feelings, then we can come to our relationship to money already full, right? Having separated ourselves from this energy. Okay, we can now start to play with it and learn to relate to it in a more harmonious way. So, to separate our relationship, ourselves from our relationship to money, we have to first accept that how much we have and how much we don't have, or whatever your financial situation is, has nothing to do with your self-worth. It has nothing to do with your intrinsic value as a human, your ability to take up space, to be seen and valued for who you are, for the gifts that you contribute, that have nothing to do with monetary gain. Okay. Every single one of us, as I mentioned, regardless of your circumstances, is inherently whole and complete and worthy of feeling safe and provided for. Okay. Whatever that means for you, whatever level of financial abundance that means for you, it's all relative to your own circumstances. Okay. So we need to be able to come out of pain. So dealing with our beliefs and our feelings and meeting those uncomfortable emotions. My favorite technique is to breathe diaphragmatically. So breathing in and out of the belly and just quieting down our minds, putting our hands on our heart, and just giving ourselves unconditional love and compassion. Meeting those feelings of scarcity, lack, of pain, of the, whatever pain it was to have money, to not have money, to have lost big amounts of money, or to have made bad financial decisions, whatever your experience was, to meet those with compassion and non-judgment. Okay, so in order to come out of pain, we have to be able to sit in these uncomfortable emotions. We have to be aware what the beliefs are, what the past experiences were, and then really feel our way through. A big part of this cleaning up our relationship to money is going to require some self-forgiveness work, right? So if you've made some bad financial decisions in the past, or if you lent money when you weren't supposed to, or you haven't been responsible with your own finances, you want to be able to forgive yourself for those events. Okay, so we don't want to hold ourselves hostage to the mistakes that we've made, because this is really going to cause contraction and resistance obstructs the flow of abundance into our lives. Okay, so all forms of resistance, as I mentioned earlier, gripping money, hoarding it, feeling like you have to save every penny, feeling like you're not trustworthy with money, or that you're not responsible with money. All of these limiting beliefs, if it's a limit, it's a restriction. And a restriction is going to obstruct the flow of abundance into your life. So we really want to, as I mentioned earlier, making a suggestion to just make a note on a piece of paper of what your beliefs are, what feelings they bring up, and what are some of the things that you need to forgive yourself for around money. And as you sit with those uncomfortable feelings, practice, take your time with this, really practice gently meeting yourself with compassion and non-judgment and unconditional love. You have the power to bring yourself into this neutral place by letting go of the past, by forgiving yourself, perhaps forgiving others, perhaps other people, were responsible for your financial circumstances, or, it feels like you've been victimized in your financial circumstances. So forgiving other people as well. We want to let go of all resentments and really just move into this neutral energy of havingness. Which again has nothing to do with how much money you have or don't have. Okay, so don't look at the evidence of your current financial circumstances as how you should feel. Okay, because we're doing the opposite. We're changing our belief system and moving into a state of acceptance and neutrality, and accepting that we are worthy of having, and we are worthy of feeling financially supported and abundant in our lives. And once we shift our beliefs around that, and we're really able to anchor those emotions, those feelings feel like peace, like calm, like neutrality, and safety. It's very important that we practice feeling safe, especially as it relates to our relationship to money. Because for so many of us, it feels like money is in the hands of other people, right? Or it's felt like, we need the job to have the money, or we need the performance to have the money, or we need the success to have the money. And so we want to remove all of these conditions and allow ourselves to just feel abundant. right? You'd be amazed at just shifting your internal landscape and your belief system, and the ability to anchor into these feelings of safety and support and peace around money is going to actually attract the circumstances that allow money to feel more effortless in your life. Okay, it could be as simple as, finding a $5 bill on the ground, or someone calling you up with an opportunity, or a tax refund all of a sudden miraculously shows up, or you'd be amazed at the ways that money can start to find its way to you as you neutralize your relationship to this energy and start to relate to it in a more positive way. So we're coming out of pain, and then we're moving into a state of neutrality, equanimity, which is a word I love to use when it comes to this energy of money. And then from this place, we can start to create some new beliefs around money that allow for the amplification of money. So I love to talk about rewiring our subconscious mind, because I think it's a very profound body of work. And if you want to shift the circumstances in your life and you want to do it in an accelerated fashion, rewiring the subconscious is essential to that process. Okay, so the ideal state to be in when you're rewiring your subconscious mind is theta wave brain state. Okay, so this is a state we go into naturally when we're in deep meditation. It's also a state we go into naturally just before we drift off to sleep. Okay, so if you're struggling with meditating and you don't know how deep you can go, and you don't trust your ability to go into theta, that's okay. Just before you drift off to sleep every night, every single human being goes into theta wave brain state. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to, pop some headphones in and listen to some money affirmations. You can do a guided practice around changing your relationship to abundance, as long as what you're listening to feels good and it feels like it's soothing your nervous system. Okay. This is very important, because oftentimes affirmations won't work if it feels unreachable or inaccessible. It feels like it's such a huge jump from where you are that your unconscious is rejecting it. Okay. So we want to be able to work with what we have from where we are and create realistic goals. So make sure that you're listening to money affirmations. You can record yourself on an app or on your phone, or listen to a guided practice. Again, as long as it's soothing and it feels relatable and accessible to you wherever you are in your current life circumstances. Rewiring your subconscious mind is going to drastically shift your conscious experience of your relationship to money. You're going to start to see results within 3 to 4 weeks. You'll start to see a shift in your attitude towards money, in how you react when someone brings up the topic of money, or when you're faced with, having to, face your bills or deal with money in your daily life. You're going to see a shift in how you respond based on this subconscious rewiring. So do the conscious work of taking responsibility for this relationship. It's a relationship like any other. It just like imagine making a new friend, right? You're meeting this person and you want to get to know them, and you want to ask questions, and you want to bring your best self to the relationship, and you want to nurture this relationship and foster it and grow it and tend to it and bring love to it, in order for the relationship to become solid, to become trustworthy, and to become valuable in your life. And it's the same thing with money. We're building this relationship with money. And as we, like any other relationship that's been through trauma and hardship and heartache and misunderstanding and pain, we want to heal it first, right? So take the time to really become aware of all your projections onto this neutral energy, what your beliefs are, what you learned, all the mistakes you've made in your life that you're still holding yourself accountable for, and perhaps judging yourself for, anybody else that you need to forgive as well. So doing that conscious work along with the breathing and the self-love and the self-compassion and the self-acceptance, and moving into that state of neutrality. Okay. And from there, doing the subconscious rewiring work, where you can really start to establish these new beliefs and create this relationship with money in your life. Okay. Some practical things you can do is to look at your accounts every day. Look at your bank account and make peace with the number that you see. Just hold your gaze to whatever number is there, regardless of whether it's a good number or a not so good number, whether or not you wish there was more, or if it's a shocking number, depending on where you are in your circumstances. I want you to just hold the ability to be with what's there until there's no charge, right? Until all the reactivity has dissolved. Just meet it with love and with compassion. Facing the reality of your financial circumstances is a lot less scary than we make it out to be. Okay, just being able to really be in that in that honest reflection with compassion and non-judgment, and start to really practice doing that every day until you can feel neutral about it. Okay. And, take the steps to open up your mail and face your bills and pay back all of your debts, and start to reframe your relationship with your debts as not a burden, but as an opportunity to invest in yourself, or, being grateful for the home that you have, and the utilities that you use, and so on. Right. So we want to be able to reframe our relationship with having to pay for things as where it doesn't feel like a burden or a punishment. It feels like a privilege and a gift to be able to pay our way and enjoy a comfortable lifestyle. Okay, so you can start this practice of gratitude along once you're doing once you've done the healing work. It's very important we do the self-reflection and the healing work first, especially if you're in a lot of pain around money. It's almost like bypassing if you go from a painful consciousness around money into a state of gratitude. Okay, so you want to really acknowledge what's there and give yourself permission to feel it. Give yourself enough empathy so that you feel full and you feel complete, and you can get to that neutral energy with integrity. And then from there, you can start to practice gratitude, right? And we bring in gratitude with our new beliefs, being grateful even for the little bit that we have. Okay, we'll start to amplify more opportunities to have more in your life. This is a universal law, and money as an energy responds to universal law. It responds to flow, to value, to trust, and so it's meant to circulate. As I mentioned earlier, we want to come out of gripping and holding on tight, because this creates an obstruction. We want to be able to let it flow and let it circulate in our lives the same way we let the energy of love and life circulate in our lives. So this is very, very important, and look at your own relationship to your own value as well. Okay. Because as I mentioned, having money and what you do to have money are two completely separate things. Okay. And they can be oftentimes intertwined. Even if you're not working, even if you're not currently contributing to the world in a constructive way, that doesn't mean that you should be struggling financially. Okay. So I want to separate our intrinsic value from what we have and what we don't have. Okay. And once we've healed that part of us, then we can look at, ways to contribute to the world that are meaningful. For myself as a spiritual teacher, for many years in the early part of my career, I struggled with asking for money or charging money or accepting value as an exchange for what I was offering. I had a lot of conditioning around, how, the vow of poverty is noble. And, a lot of this is very common in spiritual community. And so, I had to come into realization that that in order for me to feel fully fulfilled, I had to also include this other aspect of humanity, which is the need to have money, and that it's okay to have money, and that abundance is a form of love. Okay. And again, this is relative to where you are in your circumstances. Okay. So abundance can mean many different things to many of us. And so it's very important for you to get a clear idea of what abundance looks like for you, and what it would feel like to just be at peace with this energy of money, and then learn to play with it. You learn to have fun with it, learn to expand it when you want to, or, find a set point that feels comfortable for you. We want to create the experience of stability and consistency and reliability, because this is what offers that experience of safety and security and support that we're all deeply looking for. Okay. So looking at what you do for a living, for those of you that are doing purposeful work, meaningful work that really comes from your heart, work that's really bringing you joy, you will receive the financial support to encourage more of that expression. Okay. And we can talk about that in another video where we talk about, living our life purpose and finding joy and creating abundance from there. Okay. So there is always financial support for those of us that are really, truly working from a place of love and from a place of joy, and really loving the service that we offer, whatever it is you do for a living. Okay. So I hope this video was helpful. If you liked this content, then please feel free to subscribe or leave a comment, ask questions. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you soon.